And welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we have a classic recipe for you. This is from the great Julia Child's Joy of French Cooking. This is her lemon soufflé pie or tart. Now I'd like to remind everyone that we have a Patreon. I'll put a link in the description below, as well as an affiliate link with Chef's Temp if you need a kitchen thermometer or meat probe. You can get that with code LOVEYOURFOOD on checkout and get 15% off your order. In the meantime, here's our ingredients. So we've got some lemon, some sugar, a little bit of salt, some more sugar, some eggs, and a blind baked pie crust. And ours came out a little pale. Honestly, we should have cooked it a little bit longer, but we'll talk about that later. Now, the first thing we're going to do is separate our eggs. We do need to do a little bit of mise en place for this recipe. So we're going to separate the yolks and the whites. Now, this is kind of like a lemon meringue pie where the meringue is integrated into the lemon part. So we're going to make a lemon curd and we're going to beat the egg whites separately from making the lemon curd. But we're going to mix them together. We're not going to put the meringue on top. We're going to mix it all together and then we're going to put that into the pie. So we've got the zest from the lemon here. We're going to add that to the larger amount of sugar because that's going to go into the curd. The smaller amount of sugar is going to go into the egg whites. And then we're going to juice the lemon as well. Now we're aiming at about a quarter cup of lemon juice here. If your lemon is particularly juicy, which this one was, and it's a little bit more than that, don't panic. We used all of it and it all came out just fine. And you get that extra lemon flavor, which honestly is perfect for me. I love lemon. It's one of my very, very favorite flavors. We prefer things to be sour more than sweet, personally, but it should go to your personal preferences. So we're going to add that sugar and lemon zest to our egg yolks, and we're going to give that a good stir here. We're going to make sure we get that well whisked right to the ribbon, so you can see it's got nice and light and fluffy. And when you drip it back onto itself, it takes a moment to sink back in. That's the ribbon. And then we're going to cook this. So we're going to put this over a double boiler. And you do need to keep a pretty good eye on it at this point because the double boiler will stop it from burning, but it won't stop it from cooking. So you can see already it's pretty thick and nice and fluffy, but we do need to add the lemon juice to this. So we're going to add the lemon juice in, and you can see it's a little looser. You want to make sure that you're stirring it well. And you want to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom. So you can switch out from a whisk to a scraper like that. Meanwhile, while that's cooking, we're going to move on to our egg whites. And we're just going to add the salt and start beating these until they get to about soft peaks. So you can see here, it's not holding together. It's not sticking together yet. We're almost at soft peaks. This is a great time to add the sugar. So we're going to add the sugar in and continue to whip. And we're going to whip this until we get to about medium peaks. You can take this as far as the stiff peaks. Honestly, we went as far as medium peaks. It's really, again, personal preference as to what sort of texture you want in your egg whites. Now remember, this is all going to cook with the curd, so we're going to be knocking out a fair amount of that air out of there, and we're going to knock it out of the egg yolks as well that we whisked in. So you can see this has gotten much thicker. It's much less soupy after it's cooked for a little while. So we're going to scrape down that bottom, make sure it's not sticking or anything like that. We're not going to strain this because we want the lemon zest that's in there, so we're not going to strain it at all. But we are going to mix in our our egg whites into the lemon curd. And we're just going to fold that fairly delicately. And it's going to take some time to start incorporating. Don't worry about that. And it doesn't need to be perfectly uniform either. You can go as long as you want in this. You can get it really nice and smooth so that there's no bits or swirls of egg white and egg yolk or anything like that. We left it until, at this point here where there's still some lumps of unincorporated egg whites. Just because, I don't know, it gives a little bit of a rustic texture to it. It's nice. It doesn't change the flavor. It's whatever you prefer there is just fine. So that's going to go into our pre-baked pie crust. And as I said, we underbaked this a little bit. It could have gone for probably another 5 minutes or so. Now, we did a whole episode a while ago on pie crust, and when we blind baked this one, it could have gone a little further. So that's going to go into our preheated oven. Now, when it comes out, it is a bit of a surprise because it is a souffle, and it does puff up really big. It's really, really huge when it comes out of the oven. You can see here, it's got that nice brown on top, and it is huge. It's inflated really, really big. Don't worry, it goes back down and gets, more pie-shaped. And it is the lightest, fluffiest thing. Even sunk down like this, it's incredibly light and fluffy, which does make it hard to cut because it's almost not there. It's so hard to cut because it's so light, it just sticks to the knife. Now, ours came out really bright yellow, almost orange, because honestly, the eggs we used are very orange at this time of year. We're not exactly sure why, but it does affect the color. But, it makes a really nice lemony color. You can see that big chunk of egg white in there. But this, that's it. It's so good. Really bright lemon flavor. Julia Child recommends adding a little dusting of powdered sugar on top. We prefer not to, honestly. We want that bright lemon flavor, that nice sweet tartness in there. We love that. So we hope you'll give this one a try. If you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. Thanks to our patrons over on Patreon. You help us keep the lights on. If you'd like to contribute to our Patreon, I'll put a link in the description below for that as well. And remember to love your food.